another podcast, and it's been a while, admittedly. Actually, a whole season and a bit. We did one at the start of the season, which was a season preview, and now we're going to do a season review. As you can see, we're joined by a couple of guests, one familiar, one not quite so familiar. We're familiar to some, but not everybody. Joining me, we have Elliot Tailforth. Elliot, you've been with us before. Good evening.
Evening, Neil.
And joining us is second team captain Danny Turner and Dan T20 captain. I'll not take his full title away from him. Evening, Dan. We've got to keep you proper, pal. We've got to keep you proper. Anyway, we are here to review the 2022 Whatleydale season, and it's fair to say quite a bit went on, and quite a lot of it positive. So we're going to go take it right back to the pre-season, and myself, Elliot, and Dave Maguire, who unfortunately is no longer at the club, but still speaks to us occasionally, did a pre-season preview, and I've got to say, Elliot, we got a lot of things right.
Did we?
We did. Funnily enough,
That's a miracle.
It is a miracle. Yeah, we watched it. I watched it back, and a lot of the stuff we said across all three teams, Saturday teams, should I say, we predicted that the first team would have a successful season if we could all perform to the best of our abilities, and that we would use the mantra of commitment and availability as we had done in the second team, and a lot of that bore through, so we'll come to that shortly. We said that the second team would have a more successful season based on the first team being successful. To an extent, it was there or thereabouts. I'm sure Daddy would agree with that.
Fell at the last hurdle.
Well, we'll come to that as well. And we also said that the knockdown effect for the third team, and you in particular, Elliot, I think in that podcast said you were really excited at some of the potential players coming into the third team, albeit a lot of them ended up playing second team, would have a very positive effect on the third team. And lo and behold, the third team finished safely in mid-table. So all in all, I think we got things fairly right, El, really.
Yeah, and I think the key, as you've already mentioned, Neil, is commitment and consistency. And if you're putting out the same 11 players, give or take, every week, it's going to improve the team no end. I mean, it's a massive bugbear for me is commitment. I see it at football as well. Young lads nowadays just don't seem to have the commitment that we had back in my day. I mean, your Saturdays were for football and cricket, and that's what you built up to. We didn't have the same disposable income that perhaps lads have nowadays. There's not as many. There weren't as many distractions, affordable distractions. And I speak to other people who are involved in grassroots sport, and they all say the same. I'm involved with a local football club, and I'm not going to name any names, of course, but we've had two lads miss a couple of weeks playing. Two lads in their early 20s because they didn't have an hair transplant.
You are joking.
I know. What's a hair transplant?
Jesus Christ.
Three men on this podcast.
I'm going to say it's a Whatleydale thing that you've got to be bold, I think.
But I think that just sums it up in a nutshell, actually, that nowadays, lads, I mean, there's lads missing, there's lads got to Doha to watch the World Cup. Back in my day, a long time ago, we wouldn't even have thought about going to watch the World Cup. It was just out of this world, literally, the idea of going. But there we go, we move on, but I think we reaped the benefit of having that greater consistency this year, certainly in the first team, and like you say, it did filter now, and hopefully that's something we can continue this next season.
Absolutely. We kicked off the season with two friendlies. First team played against New Longton. It was a relatively close loss, but it gave us an idea of there was a few fringe first teamers in there. It gave us a good idea of where people were at. Mix of second and thirds. You travelled with them to Longridge, Danny, didn't you?
Yeah. Longridge.
It was a bit of a baptism of fire. I think Longridge turned out a better team than we were expecting on that day, weren't they, really?
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And we had maybe more third teamers than second teamers with availability of still being the football season and stuff. So, yeah, it is what it is.
At the end of the day, these pre-season friendlies are there to gain a little bit of just a bit of practice. So they both achieved what we wanted them to. Going into the season, then we're going to keep this fairly brief because we understand we're not going to go into too much detail. But the good news, we'll start with the first team, and the first team won Division 3 of the Palace Shield. I'll speak as captain, and it was a lot of the things we covered off at the presentation night. As we've just discussed, the availability was superb. We had returning players such as Ryan, who obviously stepped up to the mark. Ryan Wells, our opening bowler, took, I think it was over 90 wickets in the season across all formats. Bowled superbly, and ultimately, when you look at the fact that we won all the individual awards at the league presentation night, it says a lot that we bowled well. We batted well in parts. Naz obviously is a standout, opening the batting at over 800 runs. Although it wasn't our strongest point by any stretch of the imagination. And Andy winning the Wicketkeepers Award. It says a lot that ultimately in what was a weaker division than what we envisaged it might be, we did dominate from time to time. I mean, from my perspective, standing at slip all season and doing next to knacker all for the actual team and contribution wise, it was actually really good to sit there and watch the majority of the team perform week in, week out. Start with you, Elliot, from your perspective, from the third team, what was the external view of how the first team were going about things?
Well, the first team are always the vanguard, aren't they? You always look to what the first team are doing. They're the ones who set the market for the club. And I think we could see, well, I certainly could see that they were always going to be in with a shout, and so it proved to be. But that followed on, that was reflected in the twos as well, because I think that, I mean, the twos were so unlucky this year. One result away from getting promoted, and I think that is very much on the back of the first team's performance as well. If your first team are doing well, your club's doing well, and I think that was
down, doesn't it? It builds confidence in the twos if the ones are performing all the time, and it makes them keen to try and push to play in the first team. Like Matt Berry went up, played 4 or 5 games, and proved himself a viable bowler in that division as well. Yeah. So it blends the club, and it makes the club stronger when the first team are doing well.
Yeah, and it makes you an attractive proposition for anyone coming into the club. And you know, we brought a few players in last year. I was thinking of Adnan for one, who played with the 13, played Division 6 cricket, and not for very long, to be quite honest. No. But he was. I think he was one of the many actually that bought into the project.
Absolutely, and I think you've touched on something that is quite relevant there. I think anybody, as Danny said, the lads coming out of the seconds, the new lads coming in like Adnan, who was a great find, everybody bought into it. Everybody understood that the bowler's bowled, the batter's battered, and yeah, there were times where we probably pushed that to its limits and we could have given other people opportunities, and I held my hands up to that sometimes. But ultimately, we got the result that we wanted. The whole aim of the season, not necessarily to win the division, but was to certainly get promoted. So we achieved what we wanted to do, and I think ultimately after the end of the season, some of the feedback we've got is that everybody was absolutely delighted at that, and the performance over the course of the season absolutely proved that. And the number of times, I mean, we've got to say the bowling really did support that team this year. The number of times the batting didn't perform. I'm thinking of places like Lancaster away, when we got bowled out for, I think it was 80 odd, and we bowled Lancaster out for 60 odd. Ryan absolutely ripping through them. Kirkham at home, exactly the same. So, you know, from my perspective, that was certainly the key area. But that couldn't have been done without the team performing as a unit in the field. In the field this year, that first team was as good as I've ever seen a Whatleydale first team field. And I'm not just saying the young lads or the more athletic lads, your Ikram, your Ryan, or anybody like that. Naz absolutely taking catches at slip.
Took some black catches this year,
Naz
didn't
took some absolute cracking catches. So you know, everybody bought into it. So absolutely cracking performance. We'll touch on next season and how that's going to be different from my perspective. But I think generally I can't praise anybody who came into that first team and played this year high enough, because everybody bought into, as Ellie said, the ethos that we wanted to put in. Just one quick word from my perspective. Obviously, since the end of the season, Naz has had some ill health. Unfortunately, couldn't attend our presentation or the league presentation. So we send our best wishes to Naz. Hope he's recovering well. I know he likes to listen to these podcasts, so hopefully he'll be back with the whites on sooner rather than later. But don't rush. We want you back in better health, not necessarily runs.
Can we just confirm, Neil, it was nothing to do with the T20 World Cup final?
No, I don't believe it was. No, I don't think he got upset or anything like that.
No,
he may sell you different.
He had a half and half shirt, apparently, anyway.
Yeah, well, what was it? What was that image you sent? Ingestan or something like that. Half and half shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably Naz to a T, but yeah, best wishes, Naz. Get well soon.
Back soon.
Yeah, he's already told me he's getting 1,000 runs next year, so that's typical Naz. Moving on to the second team, Danny. I mean, as Elliot's touched on, so unlucky. For those that don't know, it came down to the last match of the season. A winner takes all against Tarleton, second v third. Vernon's had already won it. Unfortunately, as you say, just couldn't get over the line. And I think ultimately, whilst we've said the benefit of the second team doing well, first team doing well has benefited the second team, I think I'm not going to use the term run out of gas, but I think there was a couple of key players missing towards the back end of the season, which possibly just took that edge away a little bit, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. I mean, we took weakened sides to places we probably shouldn't have taken weakened sides to, but availability is availability, and people getting injured, and it happens. You're a club of 3 teams. It's difficult to put 33 lads out every week without any hiccups whatsoever. But I will say the people who came out of the third team this year, the likes of Ibi Hussein and Imran Hussein, who were just going to play social cricket, they came up into the seconds, and I mean, Ibi was dreadfully unlucky in most of his innings, and then finally got his 50 towards the end of the season. Well deserved 50. But the younger lads this year have been absolutely impeccable. I mean, Matt Berry's bowled absolutely perfectly all season. He's just been on that mark all the time, and Evan bowling. I mean, he bowled to injury by the end of the season. And they all gave everything to the team all the way through. Any diversities, any problems with selections and stuff. It was a difficult season. I mean, I had a baby halfway through it, and I only was 2 days. So, it is what it is. I mean, it was a very strong team, the second team, when full availability was there. But it can't be. We're an amateur cricket club at the end of the day. You can't be taking people from family dues or holidays and stuff. But next year we'll come back stronger. We'll be a stronger club again next year. So. Yeah.
You just reminded me of something there, Danny, in terms of the commitment and the net results. One thing we should mention is some key performances this year.
That team have been incredible.
Well, we also on the first team, Aney getting his first 100, which he's took some massive chip over the years of never scoring 100, going back to 2015 season. So Aney coming back for his stint from his usual annual stint from Dubai, scoring 138. But in the second, Matt getting his first 100, which I don't think anybody quite believed he'd never scored 100 before.
68 balls.
Yeah, so Matt getting 100, Matty Simmons getting his first 100, superb. I remember with the first team, we all came back and watched that because we finished early. And albeit in a losing effort, it was great. It was more about Matt getting his 100 at that point than actually winning. Phil getting 100, although he's already had 100 before, coming back into the team. So, yeah, the performances have been absolutely... And let's not forget bowling. Hamza with his 8 for 8.
Hang on. Let's not forget Danny getting 200s.
I was getting there. I was leaving him to
last. Well, you were very slow with it.
Well, that's natural, isn't it? Let's be honest. And, yeah, certain Mr. Danny Turner scoring 200s in season. Just,
It's the first time I've scored 2 in a season, but, coming back, playing cricket, it's rejuvenated my love for the sport, and to tap it off with a trophy at the presentation, even in 2 centuries in a season, was an honour. Yeah.
Well, it's fair going, Pardo. As I say, last time I can remember that is a certain Mr. Alex Hines when he had his league record-breaking season in 2015. So, yeah, even Pete. Has Pete got 2 in a season? Let's not even discuss. Let's not go there. Yeah, he'll remind us anyway, I'm sure.
Sure, he'll tell us.
Yeah, but no, great season for the seconds, and as Danny says, I think that next season we'll all come back stronger, and it'll be a big season, big challenge next year for the seconds to get up and follow the first. Elliot, third team. You
Yes.
were supporting Mick greatly this season.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking about Friday night now. And now, when having seen this podcast, Pete's going to be texting us incessantly.
His
Giving
stats.
us a ball by ball run through of whatever. But anyway, there we go. Yeah, up at White Copies. Yeah, it was good. I mean, I'm sort of like in the twilight years now, and I must admit I was really thinking about whether or not to call it a day, but I thought I'd give it another day, and yeah, it was enjoyable. The cricket was generally good fun, and generally we put up a good fight and a good show for ourselves. But it's the usual case with the third team. You are very much at the behest of the second and first team as to what sort of side you can put out. Sometimes, some weeks we had a fantastic team out. We were world beaters. We just weren't going to get beat. Other weeks it was a bit different. But that's what you get. And I think you mentioned something before, Neil, about certainly with captain in the first team, everyone knew the role.
Yeah.
And you get that higher up. It's not always the case when you go further down the levels. So that's what's over there, you understand that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's about tempering expectations. But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to think. Farhan came in and belted the ball here, there, and everywhere, and he's, I think he's what's called a cavalier batsman.
I think we noticed that from the first friendly. It's not going to be playing many forward defences, is it?
He's not a Jeff Boycott, is he?
No.
And good for him. And made some decent scores, made 2 or 3 50s, I think, if I remember rightly. And who else have we had coming in? I'm just trying to think. We had a few players come in. Like I say, Adnan, who scored 100 and just short of 150, 149 not out.
149 not out, yeah.
No thanks to James Thomas, who nearly ran him out on 148, but there we go. Well, so there were some good performances like that. I mean, ironically, the team that the thirds beat at Blackpool the following week, that was virtually the same side that Blackpool put out against our first team, and won convincingly.
And nearly knackered us with getting promotion.
Indeed, it did. I mean, the lad that scored all the runs against the first team couldn't do anything against the third team.
Maybe we should have had CJ bowling.
That was my bowling, Neil. Don't
forget.
Right, okay. Of course. Yeah. But no, it was good, and it was always played in the right spirits for the thirds, and we had some good close matches. I don't think there was any match where we were completely steamrolling.
No.
I think every game was a good game. We were in every game, and I think we probably won at least half, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, you finished. I think it was 6th, which again in the pre-season podcast we said I think you finished next to bottom the season before.
Yeah.
And we said a mid-table finish with some good wins thrown in and some good performances would just do that third team. And we said, didn't we, about setting targets and progression.
Yeah.
I don't think you can ask for any more than how the season went, especially like you say, considering it was at times real mix and match, and even taking lads on, obviously loan lads in, but the young lads that came in from Leyland were brilliant, and anybody that came in, obviously, like you say, did a job. And from that point of view, you can't complain at how sixth place finishes ended up.
No. So no, it was a good season all around.
Yeah, good, and obviously, hopefully, progression next year. So we'll quickly look at T20, Danny. And I think for T20, slightly similar to the third team, what we can say is that I don't think there was any games we didn't enjoy and didn't
No,
have fun at.
in the right spirit of it, it was a social Tuesday or a Thursday night game of cricket. It wasn't. We weren't expecting to go to like playing the likes of Netherfield and winning, but get from all the game. I mean, we bowled New Longton out for 60 odd and didn't win the game, so that was our chance to win one. And yeah, it was all good fun. We all enjoyed it, and it was good fun.
I think from my perspective, and obviously I either played in or watched a lot of them. And you were right. I think we knew beforehand going to the likes of Leyland and playing the majority of their second team. Netherfield the same, who had some really good players. Preston, albeit we put up a good fight against Preston, to be fair. But a lot of these teams, we were playing against lads 2-3 divisions above us.
Like league players in their teams.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think, and let's face it, there were some bloody good performances in there. Yourself with a 50, Don with his battling 30 odd not out against Leyland. There was some good bowling in there. Evan bowled well against Tarleton. Bob Nuttall and his rearguard action against Tarleton was something to behold on stream. But yeah, I think ultimately every year we say the T20 team, we appreciate we always come up against better competition, and as you say,
yourself, isn't it?
Absolutely, test yourself and more exposure to more cricket, which ultimately can only be better for people's performances on a Saturday then, because it's extra practice under, I don't know, maybe stricter conditions really in terms of what you're facing.
People are licensed to have a go as well, rather than defend the wicket at all costs. So
yeah, a bit of pressure off, yeah.
Have a swing of the bat instead.
Absolutely. So T20 will continue next year. We're yet to see what the divisions will look like, but we'll carry on our merry way and enjoying our midweek cricket. One thing we will touch on, and it was a massive part of progression this year, was the junior team. We started our first junior team in a number of years at under 11s, progressing through the All Stars and Dynamos, which we've been very successful with. And fair credit to Pete and to a large extent Fiona, who helped run that side. They had a very enjoyable season. A lot of hard work was put in pre-season and during the season, training-wise. We must thank Vernon's for their kind use of their facilities for training for the juniors. Unfortunately, we couldn't, as I said, I think we discussed that at the time in terms of they couldn't use our facilities to train. But speaking to a lot of the parents, I know they thoroughly enjoyed it, the kids. And again, this year we'll be moving to two, or next year, should I say, we'll be moving to two teams. More progression again. And Elliot, I think ultimately, I know you've said in the past, if you've got a strong junior section, you're a strong club. And this is something we see as key to move forward.
Absolutely vital. Absolutely vital. You can't progress without a junior section. Simple as that. You need those kids coming through. And I mean, we've already got kids in the first and second team. There's Dom and Matt Simmons and Matt Berry, Evan, coming through that junior system. So unless you have that strong foundation, you will, in not many years' time, just see your club demised.
It's the future for the club, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So yeah, thanks very much to Pete and Fiona. Because they're doing a sterling job bringing these kids in and helping to cement Walton Liddale's future for years to come.
Absolutely, and yeah, as I said, this season we'll be running, staying at under 11s for the team that were under 11s this year, because the majority of them will be able to stay at that age group. I think we're introducing an under 10 softball team underneath that. So again, lots of progression coming out of All Stars and Dynamos, which has been superb for us. And hopefully those teams will just continue to advance. So it was a great season. So well done to all of the juniors. I'll put a couple of images up over while we're discussing this, and there was lots of smiling faces at every match. And that clip of when young Zach scored the 4 on the live stream, and all you can hear in the background is all the kids going mental that they've scored a 4. It was absolutely superb. So no, well done to the juniors on a great, successful first season. One thing we will touch on is something I've just mentioned there, and we must thank Affinity Lancashire for our first season of live streaming. And I think, suffice to say, it was a roaring success. I know Danny really enjoyed setting up the streaming equipment week in, week out. But to be fair, it has actually captured some cracking stuff, Danny. Really, hasn't it?
Without its hiccups, but it's the first season we've used it. You know, it'll be back stronger next year, hopefully.
Yeah, it was great to if we like, for example, if we were away, we could watch the second team while we're sat there waiting to bat. I certainly know when I went on holiday, it was great to sit there watching Ernie get his 100 and then watching the T20 match against Tarleton later in the week. It just achieved, I think, everything that we wanted it to achieve. We were able to promote sponsors, we were able to promote content on our YouTube channel, and like you said, Danny, I think next season it'll be back bigger and stronger.
I think it attracts players as well, because players buy into the live streaming. I mean, so some of the teams that we played against this year in the seconds have asked about it, you know, and queried it, and you can tell which games have got more views. I mean, the Standish game that we played at our place, it's got quite high views because most of the Standish first team watched the game from their end as well. So, you know, it's more exposure for the club as well, isn't it?
You're absolutely spot on, and yeah, I echo what you've just said in terms of the feedback we got from other clubs, either enjoying being on stream or actually interested in how we were going about it. It was quite a lot. So yeah, absolutely. Anything that, and as you both know, we're massively keen on anything that can boost the profile of the club, either for the betterment of the club financially or to progress the club on and off the field in terms of players and structure of the club. You know, it's something that we're really keen on doing. So it's 100% highlighted that really well. You're muted, Elliot.
Sorry, were there no UB frame moments we could have made 250 quid off? I'm sure there must have been.
Well, the big one, wasn't it, was actually the thing we didn't stream, which was the double wicket single double wicket competition, where we had, I think we had drop catches, we had Mick and Cuff running into each other trying to take a catch, we had me hitting Naz on the helmet with a bouncer, Naz getting bowled off the back of his bat by CJ. There was so much stuff went on at that double wicket competition. Unfortunately, we never streamed it. So yeah, I don't know if there was anything, because we were constantly looking on the highlights for anything funny that happened. I don't think there's anything necessarily funny, but we captured some cracking sixes, some great catches. Yeah, just some good cricket more than anything ridiculous, to be fair. But otherwise, they'd be going, what was there? There was something that went viral, wasn't there?
Was that not Dave Harrison right at the start?
That might have been Dave the year before, yeah. And also Pete and JT's Runner 3 on YouTube from about 8 years ago.
Yeah.
When Dhoni and Kohli did a Runner 3 challenge, a load of it got 140 odd thousand views our video in India.
Really?
So people looking for Virat Kohli got Pete Ingham.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah, I don't know how that was going to work, but hey ho. So yes, so stream will continue next year, come back bigger and stronger, and it was really enjoyable. Just for the end of the season, we had a really good presentation evening at Bamber Bridge this year. We switched it up a little bit, outsourced it if you like, and an absolutely superb night was had by all, and I think we can work on that for next season. I know Danny enjoyed giving his speech out. I don't know whether you were expecting that. Probably was dropped on you a bit short notice, that wasn't it?
Yep, without a doubt. But you know, adverse, I can do it.
Yeah, no, stepped in manfully, and of course I got the short end of the straw from Mr. Berry, getting loads of jip, telling juniors that if you want to know how not to play cricket, don't watch Neil. So yeah, so that was the usual thing. But no, a really good night at Bamber Bridge, and it just rounded off the season nicely. So overall, cracking season. We want to replicate it for next year, and there's already strides ongoing. So we're just going to quick look at this coming season. Obviously, the first team will move up into Div 2. Second team will remain in Div 4. Third team will remain in Div 6. First team are going to have a much tougher time this year. I've looked at the teams remaining in Division 2, and some really strong teams in there. Excuse me.
It's a talented league.
Say again, Danny.
It's a talented league.
It is. Too. Yeah, there's some real tough teams that we're going to have to visit. Some real organised clubs. This year we thought Div 3 was a lot weaker than probably we were expecting. I think Div 2 next year will be just as strong as it looks. So there may be signings coming. We're still looking at the potential of getting an overseas player in. We're speaking to a lad from New Zealand at the moment, and we're just trying to sort out the fine print on that one, who will be a good addition. We've looked at it before overseas, and it's just fallen through on a couple of occasions. So hopefully we can get that over the line. But yeah, generally speaking, we think we maybe need to strengthen in a couple of places, but we'll wait and see what happens. Second team, Danny, I think is a similar vein, really, isn't it?
I honestly feel it could go one step further next season and cap off the season at the end with hopefully a promotion. But yeah, it's the talent coming through and all the younger lads being another year older and some of us not being at college anymore and availability being better. It's definitely going to be a strong side next season for that division. But there's some good teams in Division 4 anyway. So we'll see where we go.
Absolutely.
And you'll have a couple of lads coming back from long-term injury, I would think. Barani and who else is there?
Barani was very well missed. And, he lit it up the first couple of games. And I think it was the third game he got injured. We missed him in that team. It was a vital part of that team when he was in it.
Yeah.
And the likes of Martin, who missed part of the season as well. He'd be almost like it was almost like a new player coming back at the end, weren't it?
And Phil McGinnity, he came, stepped in. He only filled in for one game and played the rest of the season for him. So it was a welcome addition.
And we can also announce, while we're talking about additions, we've already tied up 2 new players for next season. Returning face of Mr. John Taylor, Mr. Do It All. So it'd be great to have JT back at the club for his 58th stint back at Walton Dale.
He can't play next season.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's plenty of gaps for John to step into, so we'll see how that goes. And we can also announce that your good friend who played for us on loan T20-wise, Mr. Sean Parkinson, will be joining us.
Yeah, very good bowler.
I was very impressed with Trigger at Maudsley. He bowled very well. So Trigger, and again, I've spoken to Sean. I think he'll fit right in at Walton Dale. He down to earth lad, enjoys his cricket, enjoys the crack, and he's a Sheffield Wednesday fan. I mean, what's not to love about the lad? You can stop shaking your head. Anyway, so it's good to have those 2 lads already signed up, and winter nets start on the 10th of January. So anybody interested, give us a shout. Should be all good for that on a Tuesday nights, and hopefully we'll have a few more coming to that. So
I'll give my apologies now. It's my birthday.
Every Tuesday, probably. Either that or there's a Blackburn match every Tuesday.
No, the 10th of January is my birthday. I won't be doing anything, but...
No, I'm going to say.
The last thing I'll do is netting.
Terrible. So all in all, looking forward to next year. A few rule changes, nothing dramatic. There is a restructuring of the divisions slightly above us that doesn't necessarily affect us, but puts another division potentially in our way. Not been voted on yet, so we'll see how that pans out in terms of first team. But generally speaking,
sorry, Neil. I'll just go through that again. So at the moment, Palace Shield, we've got Prem, 1A and 1B.
Correct.
And 2, which is the division you're going in.
Correct. So right, as it stands at the minute, though, 1B is a closed shop for second teams.
Second teams are first teams that are in the Northern League or
Prem.
Prem, yeah.
So, however, what they're suggesting is that closed shop for 1A and 1B is discontinued, and 1A and 1B can be first or second teams, or any team, with the exception that I believe the second teams can't ultimately go up into the Prem, I think. So ultimately, at this moment in time, if we got out of 2, we'd go into 1A. With the new structure, if we got out of 2, we'd go into 1B first, and then up into 1A. So ultimately, at this moment in time, if that gets voted through, it's like we're still in Div 3, basically. But we'll wait and see. I have absolutely no idea how that will get voted on. Not a clue. So we'll see on the 5th of December, which I think is the league AGM. So, but other than that, there's not a great deal of rule changes this year. They're looking at bringing in coloured clothing for the cups. I think we've disagreed with that. Just another thing to have to sort. pink balls for the cups. I want to see Danny's face for that. After experiencing those pink balls in the T20 this year.
Awful, them balls.
Crap.
Awful.
Crap.
They're good
So-
for about 3 balls.
Well, can you imagine playing with them for 40 overs?
Might as well use them like tennis.
I think we've
I mean-
disagreed with that as well.
I mean, the Red Bulls are bad enough.
Yeah, there needs to be a significant improvement in the ball quality next year on all fronts. So hopefully the rule changes won't be too far-reaching. It doesn't appear so, and hopefully things will run smoothly. We'll be looking for pre-season friendlies again, for probably similar to this year, first team and then a mix of second and thirds. So we shall be looking at those over the course of the winter, and hopefully everything will run smoothly. So, anything else from you two gents?
No, we're all good.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem.
And I'm sure we'll crop up pre-season for a pre-season preview. See how nets are going. Maybe do something in between, and we'll take it from there. So, thanks very much for watching, everyone. This is another Up the Dale podcast in the bag, and we'll be back soon. See you later.